It's Friday, the 16th of September, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 big stories to get through in 5 minutes. Let's jump into it. Story number 1, the unemployment rate ticked up a touch to 3.5% last month, but the labour market is still very strong.
Yes, there's little in the Bureau of Statistics labour force figures yesterday to suggest the Reserve Bank won't be lifting interest rates. More than 33,000 new jobs were created last month, with 59,000 coming in full-time employment, while there's about 25,000 lost jobs in part-time. Not surprisingly, the number of hours worked. Can this keep going? Good question. The unemployment rate is what's known in economics as a lagging indicator, so it's one of the last indicators to change when the economy turns. Certainly, the labour market is hot, and there's about 1 vacant job for every unemployed person. Job ads figures are still very strong, and businesses are continually saying their biggest worry is finding the right people to do the job. So the jobs market will probably remain strong for quite a few months yet. And what's that mean for interest rates? They're going up. Yes, that's right. What about the economy? Well, certainly a strong jobs market is good for household consumption. That's good for the economy, but it'll also push up wages and potentially inflation. It's too much of a good thing. So we wouldn't mind a bit of heat coming out of that labour market.
Sean, my favourite part of that story was when you asked yourself a question and then complimented it as a good question. It had a touch of the Kevin Rudd used to do that. Do you remember that?
Yes. I'm cringing here. Can we get on, please? Go on, please.
All right. We'll move on to we'll move very quickly on to story number 2. An independent review of the Reserve Bank of Australia has suggested a pretty significant shake-up of the board, introducing more experts on monetary policy and possibly fewer business people being part of the board to set interest rates.
An independent panel was reviewing the central bank and yesterday gave some insight into what it's thinking. It's considering asking individual board members to explain why they voted in certain ways on interest rates. That happens in the US, not here though. It's also considering improving the accountability of the Reserve Bank, and it wants the bank's communication with the public to pick up somewhat. A few interesting facts out of the review so far. 61 of the bank's 1,400 staff earn an income of more than $230,000. Women make up 44% of employees, up from 26%. And the panel was interested in how much the board thinks about big picture issues like climate change when it sets interest rates.
Okay, story number 3, Sean. We know that house prices are already dropping, but there is more, it seems, to come, with the boss of the Bankers Association, Anna Bligh, warning that real estate values are going to be hit by mandatory carbon emission and energy ratings.
Ms. Bligh said investors were forcing banks to rebalance their lending books in favour of lower emissions, and that's affecting behaviour. And it's not only about lending to big businesses in energy and transport, it's everyday mortgages as well. If the government legislated 43% reduction in carbon emissions is to be reached by 2030, banks are going to have to look at what they lend to homeowners. And that means standardised energy ratings. If you have a high energy rating, your house could well be worth more than your neighbour's house. That's the theory. Also, just quickly, there was a report out yesterday from the National Transport Commission, basically said that people have to stop buying dual cab utes and SUVs if we want to get carbon emissions down.
All right, story number 4, Sean. The 4 and 20 pie and lean cuisine meals are, it seems, Aussie no longer, with a Hong Kong-based company buying Paddy's Foods.
Yeah, the world's coming to an end, clearly. Now, Pacific Alliance Group is one of the largest private equity funds in Asia, and it reportedly spent about $500 million buying Paddy's, which also produces products under the brands of Nana's, Herbert Adams, Chef's Pride, and Snowy River. Pacific Alliance already owns Red Rooster and Aporto food chains. They know our market. But 4 and 20 pies, I mean, this is a company 75 years old. It was created by pie maker Leslie Thompson McClure in Bendigo. It went to Peter's Ice Cream at one point, then to Simplot, then to Paddy's Foods. Now, 4 and 20 pies are sold in Japan, the US, as well as Australia, but it's Hong Kong owned.
Tip for the day, Sean. Get for your lunch today a pie, put it inside a bread roll, bit of tomato sauce, and you will have a meal that will keep you going right through till dinner time. You won't need afternoon tea.
Certainly will.
All right, story number 5. This is a cracker, Sean. This is the most remarkable story you'll hear all year. 50 years after founding the outdoor apparel maker Patagonia, Yvon Chouinard, who is the, you'd say, eccentric rock climber who became a fairly reluctant billionaire with his unconventional spin on capitalism, has just given the company away.
Yeah, he didn't sell it. He didn't list it. Instead, Chouinard, his wife and 2 adult children transferred the ownership of Patagonia, valued at about $3 billion to a trust and a non-profit organisation. They will ensure that half of the company's annual profit, about $100 million a year, is used to combat climate change and protect undeveloped land around the globe. Now, after making the decision, the 83-year-old Chouinard said, and I quote, "Hopefully this will influence a new form of capitalism that doesn't end up with a few rich people and a bunch of poor people." Let's hope so, but I'm not real optimistic about it.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 16th of September, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.